Unveiling covenant myths as prosperity preachers redefine spiritual commitments and boundaries.
I'm your host, Joe Bachota, and I got another one for you today. I did this one before, but I kind of want to look at some old videos that I did and maybe kind of put an updated spin on them. And today we're going to talk about how word of faith preachers, or prosperity preachers / prosperity pimps, misuse and redefine and misdefine, if you will, in error, the word covenant. If you've ever been in a prosperity gospel word of faith circle, you will hear the word covenant thrown around. Now, there's many different ways that I can cover this, but I'm only going to cover two ways in which they misuse the word covenant. And I'm going to include my personal story on the first one. And basically, this is when you become like a spiritual son of the pastor or the bishop. Therefore, the pastor or the bishop is your father in the faith. Okay, and remember, I've said in other videos, this is really just a hierarchy scheme. It's a pyramid scheme being ran in the church, because eventually you're going to be asked to tithe to your father or tithe to your higher headquarters church. So you have a lot of bishops and pastors. They have a whole bunch of spiritual sons that tithe to them, or they have a whole bunch of churches under them, and then those churches tithed up to that church that's on top. So this becomes a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme ran in the church. However, so what happens is you basically get a father in the faith, and that father in the faith is usually a pastor or the bishop. And what happens is, so now you're the spiritual son. And what happens is they're saying, Joe, since you're my spiritual son, we are now in covenant with one another. Okay? So, and they will make you get excited about this because, and they use it correctly. A covenant is a covenant between, at least two people, maybe more than that, where when you come in covenant with somebody, they basically agree to do certain things. And as they agree to do certain things, ideally, you make up the lack, or you make up any areas in their lives that may be lacking. For instance, when God said, he made a covenant with Israel, and he said, basically, the nation of Israel will be my people, and I will be your God. Okay? And basically, Israel had a point, as long as you worship me and sacrifice to me, and you don't have other gods, then God said that I will bless you. I'm very, oversimplifying this, but that's basically what it was. So God said, I will be your God, you will be my people, you worship me, and I'll bless you. Okay? So it's a covenant or a contract, if you will, between two parties in which you make up the lack in any area. Okay? Well, if you are a poor person like I was back in the day, back in the early 2000s, because I came in covenant with the prosperity gospel word of faith around 2003, 2004. So I was in my mid 20s, and I was raised as a poor kid from Nowheresville, Pennsylvania. Okay. So when you start hearing these things, this becomes very tempting and very enticing, because who wants to have lack in their life? So you want to have things made up for you in the sense of, to come in and have somebody help you with your lack and to make up for the lack that's in you. So this is very tempting. Now, this is also very idolatrous, because what you're really saying is Jesus isn't your all in all. God isn't your supplier, but basically your bishop is. Okay? And that's what basically happens. They start to sell you in these things.